Hello and welcome back to Race Recap. My name is Jackson. A little less than 2 weekends ago, we had the ARCA West Series racing at Portland with the Xfinity Series. They were at the same track that weekend. And if you watch the Xfinity recap, it was a very wet weather race. And at the conclusion of that race, the ARCA West race started up, so it was also wet and it started to rain a lot harder. Here's a look at the track description, but it was nothing like this. Imagine this track, but wet. A very tough course. Actually, all road courses are going to be tough, but especially when they're wet. So, it was 75 or 57 laps, but that did not happen. I'll explain later. They started off already off track in turn 1. They actually didn't go through the chicane area right here in turns 1 and 2. They started the race and just went right through it on the first lap. Of course, they went through it on the second lap. I think it's because they were getting up to speed and trying to get through the gears. But if you do that again at any other time of the race, you have to do a stop and go penalty in this little chicane area right here. And that caught out a lot of people, so I didn't really write all of them down because it seemed like everyone at least once had a stop and go in the chicane area. On the first lap, though, after they blew through the chicane, they did not get on the brakes for turn 3 or 4 very well. The two leaders went off track, the 43 Daniel Dye, and alongside of him was Jake Drew in the 6 car. Daniel Dye, of course, an ARCA Menards regular, doing some ARCA West racing in Portland. They both went off. Jake Drew actually made some contact with the tire wall right there. They were both able to keep it going, though, without caution. And then the 54 of Joey East also went off into the grass, kept it going straight. There was no caution in the chicane. In turns 1, 2, and 3, Vince Little in the 85 car went spinning. The first full course caution happened in the chicane. It was when the 39 of Andrew Tuttle came to a stop, and I'm not sure if it's because he had a stop and go penalty and couldn't get it fired back up, but either way, a full course caution was brought out. And there was no caution on that restart. Tanner Reif in the 9 car went around on that long back straightaway. It looked like he was trying to get through a couple lappers and went sliding through the grass. Then there was no caution when a up front guy, Todd Souza in the 13, had a great day going, went around in the wet conditions. Then there was no caution. Daniel Dye had another incident, went around. The second and final full course caution happened when the 54 of Joey East got up into the tire wall and nosed it in there pretty hard. They had to come pull him out and send a full course caution. Then there was no caution. The 88 of Bridget Burgess got off track and she hit the outside wall pretty hard but was able to continue on. Then there was no caution. The 9 of Tanner Reif, he missed the chicane, had to come to a stop, but just locked it up and slid into the outside wall right there. Minor damage, but it was a pretty big incident for him, of course, having to do a stop and go. And then there was no caution when Andrew Tuttle had another incident. He was able to get going after that full course caution of him stopping earlier. This time he got off into the tire wall. I believe it was in the backstretch, entering turn 10 and 11 it looked like. Got off into the grass and into the tire wall. Was able to continue, though, with some pretty big left side damage. And the race director now said that the race would be shortened, and they stopped it. And they said this is going to be the white flag when you come down next time by. So, and up front, this time it was the 6 of Jake Drew in the Sunrise Forge. And he got his first career win after a rain-shortened race. So congratulations to Jake Drew on the first career ARCA Menards Series West win. And the top 10, it was Jake Drew, Connor Mozak, who was in the 23 car, Todd Souza, Daniel Dye, Takuma Koga, Tanner Reif, Bridget Burgess, PJ Pedroncelli, and Austin Herzog, and Joey East was able to climb back up into the top 10. Only 2 DNFs, surprisingly, in this race. Dale Quarterly had electrical issues. He was in the 32 car, and one lower than him was the 31 car. That was Paul Pedroncelli out early on with brake issues. Well, that's all for Race Recap. Come join us in just about a week when the ARCA Menards Series West races once again. This time they're in Sonoma.